I'd like to bring this meeting to order with a brief prayer of thanks to our Savior. Our Batman, who art in Gotham, cowled be thy mane. Now, y'all know Kev Smith's a big old fat man, but did you know his favorite hero is Batman, the Dark Knight who punches dirty turkeys in the face? That's right, Cape Crusader. Punch all those turkeys. Punch them in their turkey necks. So once a week now, this no-fly list fatty's gonna put the food down and get chatty about Batty, and this turkey gets wordy about Gotham like it's a real place. He ain't got time for his wife or daughter. This Catwoman's losing, Batman ain't caught her. Go get her, Cape Crusader. You want a pussy hunt now? Ha ha! Get ready, turkeys. We gon' bat shit. Babbling about the bat with old Kevin Smith. Now here's the fat man who loves Batman himself, Fat Kev Smith. Get on out here, turkey. Welcome to Fat Man on Batman. I'm Kevin Smith. Okay, I'm back east, man. We're wrapping up our season of Comic Book Men, so when I'm back east, the Fat Cave is Jay and Silent Bob's secret stash. Now, this week on Fat Man on Batman, we got people returning guests. You guys love them so much separately in their episodes. It makes sense to bring them back together because they do work as a team. They are the current day Batman and Robin of the Batman books, man. You loved Court of Owls. It was last time we had conversations with both of these cats, but since then we've had in Batman the storyline called Death of the Family, and now we're ramping up or in the midst of a Batman 0 year, as opposed to like year 0 or year 1 or something like that, where DC's New 52 kind of tackles Batman's origin, something they haven't done heretofore. So with us out here, man, on the East Coast, are two East Coasters that rule the Batman roost right now. They've both been, like I said before, on the podcast. But we also were lucky enough to pull them into Comic Book Men and shoot stuff with them today. So I got them down here under the pretense of some Comic Book Men. But now we're going to spend the evening talking about the wonderful work of both Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. Welcome back, gentlemen, this time together.
Double trouble, man. It's about to be
Thanks for having us.
Coming alive right now, man.
We're going to see the dynamic behind the book. We've heard two versions of the story, your origin story. You told one, and then you told one. Now, for posterity, let's have a he said, she said version.
Okay.
Who meets who first? Who is first? Were you writing, and then they were like, hey, we got a list of artists, or were you drawing and they're like, we're going to find an artist for you?
You can go first.
I think they had me on there because I moved from Detective Comics over to Batman. So I know there wasn't like a list of artists. They definitely were like, this guy is the one, he's going to be on Batman as the artist, Greg. But
that's because people at DC are smart.
They are, dude. They are.
They're like, we're going to take a chance on this young whippersnapper.
Yeah. Well, the weirdest part was they kept preparing me for him without explaining. They were like, there's this guy, he's going to be awesome. And I was like, well, who is it? And they were like, well, let us just explain to you how he likes to work first. And I was like, well, who is it? They were like, well, he's terrific, but he likes to work a little bit more loosely than you're used to. And I was like, who is it? And they wouldn't tell me, and they kept prepping me, and they're like, we want you to sort of not work full script as much as you do. And what I'm used to doing is sort of writing every panel and all of that. And when they told me it was him, I was really excited. I was like, oh, I can't wait to see, how he works. And then when we talked for the first time, or when we emailed, basically, he was used to working from outline, right? Or from
loose outline. Sometimes it'd be as little as a phone call from Todd McFarlane, and I would just jot down notes.
So you would be in charge of the structure of the book, kind of what they call Marvel method.
It was absolutely the Marvel method. And, sometimes it would be so loose as to Todd just saying, no, I need 3 pages of Sam and Twitch. Don't care, what you do with them. But the tone of it is this, because they're going to be talking about that. Go. So if you want to put them in an office setting, fine. Driving in a car, fine. Strolling under a bridge in New York, fine. Whatever.
So you got the loosey-goose style, and you're used to working full script. So there's a Felix and Oscar kind of thing happening before you guys get together.
Full.
I didn't get the warning like he got going.
They didn't sit you down and go like, no, this kid, he loves full script.
Yeah. No, I just said, I can't work that way because I heard writers were doing that, and I go, I gotta direct.
Is that from Marvel? Is that from?
Yeah, I mean, that's all I know. And the rare times where I worked with a guy, and this was still while I worked for Todd, but there was Grant Morrison did a story, and Neil Gaiman did a story, and things like that. So there were opportunities with a couple of those guys, and they gave like full scripts, and I got my marker out, I'm crossing out all the direction, and they gave me thumbnails. I threw them in the garbage. Don't look at this stuff, poison my mind. So, but I didn't get any warning on Scott, and then I hit my print button when I got the script, and it's like 24 pages for a 20-page story or some shit like that. And my printer just, I'm going, are you fucking kidding me? My narcolepsy's going to kick in, but
You're like, you must be printing 3 times.
Yeah. And, but I had no idea. And this was early in the game. And I said to Scott, Scott, listen, man, I don't need all this. Just give me the important lines. He goes, every line is important.
Just like a writer, man.
Actually, it was 46 pages.
Yeah, I was trying
really
for a 20-page.
It was crazy.
Because it had all these references in it. I was.
See, it was so
nervous.
traumatic. I blocked that out. Yeah.
It's good to know if you ever write for fucking Capullo, man. Just like Batman.
Yeah.
Just write that. Page 2, Joker action. So you like to direct. You're used to directing. For those that don't follow the making of a comic book, your writer writes a script. Your penciler artist takes that script, brings it to life. There are some cats that like to write full scripts. Scott's one of them. I'm one of them as well. The philosophy being anything the writer has in their head that they want to see on the page, they got to communicate to the guy or the lady who's actually putting the pencils down on the paper. So from an early age, when you start writing comics, you're taught like anything you want in, or you can't fault the writer later on where you're like, but where's Robin in this panel? It's like, you never said Robin in this panel. So we tend to over describe. Like when I write comic book screenplays or scripts versus like a screenplay, it's usually 3 times as thick for the page count because you have to describe everything you want to see in the frame. But it sounds like what you like is like, just give me broad strokes, man, and I will tell you what's in the frame.
Well, the thing is, like, first off, I really, really don't appreciate, telling me where to put the camera, what the angle and all that stuff. I'll be the judge of that. And as far as getting all your strokes in is like you're saying, I'll still get those strokes in, but, my timing might be different than yours in the way I feel it works best on the page. So we'll get Robin in there, but it may not be in panel 2 where you want him. Maybe I do it in a different way, but we still get where you want to go to tell exactly what you want to say. I just might take a little bit of a different path because it feels different to me and I feel flows better on a page. And again, everybody thinks their baby's the cutest, right? But I mean, it's just the way I'm used to doing it and the way I learned to do it. But I when I do read what Scott writes, I try and capture the essence of what he's trying to say and accentuate that. It's not like I go, we need to get rid of that or we need to do, I like, how can this is what I think he's trying to do. How can we do that the best possible way? So
now when you're faced with this, you're like, I just got the Batman gig. This is plum. This is awesome. But it comes with strings where you're like, I wasn't anticipating this. At a certain point, are you ever like, either I'm going or he's going? Like, did you think there was a moment where you're like, I can't work this way?
There was a moment. I mean, I was also, I'll preface it by just saying it was my fault, all of this. Like,
I'll agree. It was all his fault.
I haven't said that to you, but because we've always been like, oh, we both were assholes being on the book, but I was the bigger asshole by far.
True.
It is, yeah, because I was just so nervous because what happened was I was on the book from Detective to Batman. I was so excited to be on Batman. And then they told me after I started writing it that it was going to be Batman #1. So I freaked out. And
so it's a big gig to begin with writing Batman, but then they're like, not only are you writing it, but what you're writing is dialing it back to 1, starts a brand new continuity. Yeah. You're not just adding a spoke, you're creating a brand new wheel.
I was so terrified and I was so scared. And then when they said, it was going to be Greg, I was excited. And then when I learned how he liked to work, I just clammed up and I was really scared of giving up any sort of control over it, And so I really overrode it that way. And there was a moment where, because what happened was we emailed, and I remember you said something like, well, there's just so much, I'm worried the story's going to get in the way of the art. And I remember being like, I think your art's going to get in the way of the story.
My chocolate is in your peanut butter.
It was like that. And I did. I remember emailing and being like, one of us might have to leave this book, Dan. You know what I mean? And then
Did you email Dan or did you email and you CC'd Greg in there like, well, one of us is going to have to leave this book?
We were pretty aggressive back and forth. I mean, we were both kind of like beating our chests a little bit. I mean, I was
him more because I already know that I got a big chest.
Yeah. I was definitely kind of like the little dude yelling up at him or whatever.
I'll tell you a funny story because there's enough road between it now. He might have been too sensitive to tell the story back then. But in one of the emails, and it was along this line where I said, just give me the important line in every line.
Too douchey.
No, listen, he's not douchey. Scott is a good friend of mine. I love this kid.
He's one of the sweetest people on the planet. He is. But, and understand, like, again, this is a big gig, man.
No. I understand.
Batman, so he's like, it's got to be perfect. It's got to be perfect. This is my shot. And suddenly they're like, we're going to team you up with the loosest fucking canon in comic books, man.
Well, to be fair, they gave me a script that were like, this is how Greg likes to work. And it was 4.5 pages long.
Yeah.
No, seriously. And they were like,
hey, my scene 1 is 17 pages long.
So like, Greg doesn't like to read.
That scared me to death.
So he sends me this email, right? And he's telling me all these awards he's won. I've won this award and that award.
He's pulling out the dick.
And, And, I'm reading all this shit, and from our past conversations, I'm like anti-awards, they're like stupid. And so I'm reading this thing, and my wife's looking on my shoulder, and I go, what the hell do I say to this, right? So, because I felt I could probably bang my chest a little bit, and I went, I'm sure your mother's very proud. And I sent that to him. And I don't think he took I was punching him in the chops because he went, that's right, I'm from a very close family. And my mother is very proud. I go, wow, I kick a kid in the balls. He doesn't even get it. So that's all right. But that's all cool now. And the thing was, I understood, because I'm older and I'm wiser, right? So I understood that, Scott doesn't know me from anybody, and he knows that this is the way he's used to working and to be outside his comfort zone and all that. And I was telling my wife, because, wives get defensive with their husbands,
Oh, God.
How dare him? And I says,
he could take his awards and shove up his ass.
You're a badass. Go get him. And so. Anyway, I said, he just doesn't know. When he sees what I'm going to do with his baby, I'm going to powder his behind, rub the oil on that and all that good shit. And, I'm not going to drown his baby, put him in a hefty garbage bag off the bridge and go,
Fish for it. Fish for your kid.
He'll lighten up, and that's exactly what happened, So it just was a little time and patience. And we were just talking before we did your earlier show. We're talking about our working process, and how we're still fine tuning it and refining it. Because I'm telling him the things that make me spend unnecessary amounts of time that cause longer days at the board and shit. And he's talking to me about how we can go about modifying that and what we could do. And the great thing is about Scott is he some guys get a big head on them and they're an asshole and they're not easy to work with. And Scott's not that way at all. And I've been fortunate. You should go through the same thing with bands. I just sent him an email talking about this, why I'm bringing it up. And my singer didn't have what we call singeritis, where, he's the rock star. You're all under him. You're behind him and shit like that. He was in there lugging the fucking gear, setting it all up. He was a worker, and never did he present himself as above or, anything like that. And Scott's like that too, even though, he's got all the awards and his mother's very proud and he's got all the accolades and he knows that he's doing a fantastic job. He never comes off as an asshole or a dick. He's always willing to get in there and work on it, because our goal from day one, and it remains to be to this day, is just to produce the best possible Batman comic as we can. So it's not about egos and bumping up against each other and beating chests and all that. It's just about how can we really, really make a guy go, wow, that was a really great $4 I laid down. I got my money's worth. This is a great story. It was fun. It read good. It looked good. That's all we care about. It's not about, I contributed that. I even get uncomfortable when people go, who came up with that idea? It's like, then we're not really trying to keep score here, he did that one, I did that one. Does it matter? You liked it, right? That's
right.
all
That's
really
the
matters,
important part.
Doesn't matter if Lennon wrote that line, McCartney wrote that line. It was a good song.
Yeah, look, just know this. Batman has two daddies.
Yeah.
Get along very, very well.
That's it.
And one thing is that I mean, from the beginning, I always love when he changes what I write. I mean, that's in the first script, is crazy long as all that as it is. But one thing to understand listening, it isn't so much that it's like what you write as a writer is always just so precious, but also you wind up in a lot of battles, and maybe I'll talking out of school, with this one, but whatever, fuck it. You wind up.
That's Capullo rubbing off.
Raising right.
Well, you wind up defending the story once in a while to, editorial and that kind of stuff. And what you need to know is that you're a team. And I think one of the things that scared me at the beginning was that I didn't know that we would get along. It wasn't so much that I didn't think you could deliver the arcs. I knew you ahead of time and knew you were going to be great. But I had been on Detective before that with two guys I was so close to as friends that it was like whenever there was a problem, if editorial comes to you and says, we want to change this, you just lock together.
Unified front where you're like, no,
we're
this is
all
the book.
quitting if you do that. We're all quitting as a group, and that's it. Because, they can always fire one of you. So I remember going into Batman being like, you need someone that's going to be in the trenches, with you saying, I believe in this together. And I was just nervous, I think, starting off that we had different approaches and all that stuff. But, once Greg sent the first designs, you remember for the very first, like for the Talon and all that kind of stuff, it was like, this guy's so good and so creative and takes the things that I put on the page and makes them so much better that to me, every script I say to him at the beginning, if you have a better way of doing this page, do it your way. I want you to do it your way. And I wish that you followed the script less a lot of the time. Like when he says, because he's like, I had so much dialogue here. I'm like, just draw around it and I'll put the dialogue differently. But I need to write it out for it to be real to myself in my own head, or I can't see it if I just describe it in kind of Cliff Notes version. So I kind of do it for me and then send it to him and say, change whatever you want. But
so you'll still write full script at this point. So his scripts are still like 20 30 pages.
But without the direction. He doesn't go cameras there, angles this or that.
Right.
He gives me beats, and
Batman, Gordon in an office.
And all the dialogue. Yeah. And so he gives me the beats. But sometimes I'll add a beat or subtract a beat or add 3 beats, depending on how I feel that scene should play. Did he write a lot of camera work into the script? I never do because I don't think visually. The first one, yeah.
So you were like high, wide, and stuff like that.
I never do it, but I did it in that one because I was like I really was like, I don't know what came over me.
See, and that pushes the worst possible button in me. Like, I work.
He's like, I'm going to start off on the right foot, and you're like, who the fuck? Tracking shot.
I'm like Drago, and I'm like, I will break him. Because when I worked with Robert Kirkman, he was still, somewhat loose, but he would go, the camera's there and this, and I would intentionally give him the exact opposite shot of what he was telling me he wanted, just to break him and go, you may as well stop asking because I'm never going to give you what you want. And after I started changing stuff and adding stuff, he went, that's fucking brilliant. He goes, just keep doing whatever you're doing. And he totally got out of my way. Before we started, Todd McFarlane told him he works the best with the least amount of that you give him. And after a couple issues, Robert just went, yeah, cool, man. Yeah, it's cool. You just do it. And all that stuff went away.
For a dialogue writer, it's a dream, man, because it's just like, hey, don't worry about everything else. I'll take care of that. You just write all the things in the balloon.
And the beauty of it, Kevin, is he's going to get the same amount of money, right? That's it. I'm working less and my paycheck is the same.
It's true.
It's awesome.
You gotta work smarter, not harder.
That's it.
This guy's ready to do your job for you. Okay, so now you guys had great success with the book so far, as we all know. Huge fucking hit. But since you've both been here, the 2 big storylines you went through, we'll do those. We'll go back to back on those. But the first one was Death of the Family, and that was you both handling the Joker for the first time? More or less?
Definitely for the first time for me.
You'd never done it anywhere in the history of anywhere?
No, the only thing I had was a mock Joker in Court of Owls. It was actually Robin.
Right.
Robin, Nightwing, with what did you call that thing?
That mask, the digital mask.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. And then
that was the closest thing.
I wrote him.
I took so much shit for giving him crinkly hair.
Really?
On the forums, yeah. On the CBR, complain, bitch, rant. That's
they'll go after the weirdest things, man. There was shading in one Batman book we did, Batman Cacophony, and Joker's in like a hospital bed, and the colorist just kind of put dark, like shadowing, and so we gave him some facial hair, so he had some green facial hair, but he also had just some black shadows in there. People were like, why would the Joker have green hair? I was like, no, dude, it's a shadow. And you try to explain it, like, never mind, forget
Someday I'm going to put together a little booklet of all the bullshit I've read over the internet because it's just so it's comical.
It's stuff that you actually have to get over in order to do your job. Like sometimes it is an impediment. The cats don't realize careless comment they throw out into the internet ethosphere. Someone somewhere that had something to do with it will probably come across that one day and be like, damn shit. And it will give you such a massive moment of self-doubt that it will affect the next thing you do.
Well,
Not necessarily in a positive way.
Some stuff is legitimate, but most of it's just insanity. I'll read stuff and just go, yeah, man, you must have like no friends because no one would want to hang out with you. But some of this, but I read it all anyway. And Scott likes to lie and say he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. Maybe he's changed. I read the stuff. And because every once in a while, you can find something that has a grain of truth. You have to be able to disseminate and go, yeah, I could see he's got a valid point to that, and use it to improve yourself sometimes. I mean, not every time. Like I said, you got to wade through tons of nonsense and bullshit from just the worst kind of people making stupid statements. But every once in a while, you go, yeah, I could use that because I could see that. So I do. I read. I search out. I'll actually Google. Capullo sucks just to see what comes up and see why.
What was the feedback from the audience on Death of the Family overall? If you had to sum it up 3 words.
Well, overall, it went over really well.
It did. All I heard on Twitter and the internet, people were like, I'm digging it. And then we all thought for a moment that Alfred was going to get killed. And then there was a bait and switch of sorts.
That was the thing. I was actually caught me off guard a little bit. Was the some people being so disappointed that we didn't kill Alfred or kill somebody in the family. But I think partly the reason was because I had always thought of it as this story that was really vicious, where the Joker is basically saying to Batman, and without giving too much spoilers, just saying to him, why are you pretending to love this human family when all they do is, sit at this table that, you're the Bat King, and they kind of sit at your table like these sycophants and pretend to love you, but they just make you feel that you're more human. When in fact, the whole reason you got into this was to be something timeless. And we've transformed ourselves into these timeless villains for you. And you love us. Without us, you'd be nothing. With them, they just remind you that you're headed for the dirt and for your body's going to deteriorate and all of this stuff. And I'm the Peter Pan, I'm the greatest of all of them. I'm your court jester and all of that stuff. And the sort of penultimate moment wasn't meant to be a death of Alfred or of anyone literally. And in the trade, I do a lot of work between when the issues come out in floppy form and then the trade and try and, clean things up.
Really? So you go in there and read dialogue a little bit? Really?
Oh, yeah,
have you been called on it yet? Somebody on Twitter or someone on social media like, hey, man, this line was different than in the book.
Now I'm sure.
Everyone's going to be looking at every line.
Well,
now.
No, I changed a lot, actually, to make this clear. I think partly because I didn't read a lot of the tie-in. I read all the tie-ins, but I didn't read, I guess, the expectations and the reviews around a lot of the tie-ins. And what happened was DC asked, would it be okay if we brought in a lot of the other writers to do Joker stories? And the time was like, it worked great on Owls. Let's do it. Sure. And I love all the Bat writers. We're all friends and they wanted to do it. And what I didn't realize is that it created this expectation around the book that something massive was going to change in the status quo of Batman, because my story was the same as I had pitched it from the beginning. And
you're a victim of circumstance, especially you're coming off of what a lot of people go like, this is a masterwork. How do you fucking top this?
Yeah.
So it's for you guys, it's good enough to be like, how we top it? We do the fucking Joker story and we do all the other bad characters and stuff. But everyone wants the ante to be not ratcheted up to like someone's got to fucking die.
Yeah, with Joker, with the Joker, they wanted to top Barbara Gordon getting.
It is America. We want blood.
Yeah, I mean, blood and circuses for heaven's sakes. So you can see where some people were like, "Yeah, man, something's coming," but you went with a classier way. You're like, "Look, anybody could fucking kill, someone in the family. Anybody could kill a character."
I'd like to kill family members.
Well, so we have plenty of time.
But you're like, shit, I'm only year 2. I'll get to more death. But anybody could do that. A good writer finds a way to really get at Batman's soul without like, I killed your fucking buddy. Doesn't that fucking hurt?
Yeah.
And the way you found to do in that storyline was pretty ingenious by the virtue of the fact that the Joker is reminding Batman that all these people that help you are only hurting you. And if you want to be who you want to be, I'm your best friend in the world. It's this twisted logic that absolutely makes sense. It works.
Thanks. And in the way you'll read it in trade, I darkened it a bit as the editor. I had some like blowback a little bit from DC because they were like, this is pretty dark. I was like, this is what it was always meant to be. And I'm going to make it clearer because I think part of the problem was just that, or not problem, but part of the trouble was just that people were looking for a consequence in the next month. And so what happens when the family realizes that what the Joker is saying might have some truth to it? Okay, well, they don't hang out with Batman anymore for 6 months, but that's going to correct itself. But to me, it was always about a darker truth between them, which is Joker saying to him, they all know deep down, I'm going to prove it, that you love me more and us more, your villains, than you love them. Because deep down, when they look in their soul, they know that 20 years from now or 30 years from now, they'll all be rotting in their graves, dead and cold and worm-eaten, and you'll still be playing this game with us. And if they believe that, if they know that that's true, they'll leave tonight at this table unmasked and faceless, and I will have cut off your face for them the same way I pretended to cut their faces off. And so when they don't show up, it's clearer now at the end of the story, not to spoil it, but in the penultimate moment when Batman's expecting them and they're not there, you see it means something that's timeless for them. It's not about, are they going to show up the next day for breakfast? Are they going to show up the next week? Are they going to team up with them? It means they saw something horrifying, which is it's something that the Joker said to them.
They glimpsed their own fucking demise.
Yeah, they did. And
by being in Batman's fucking presence, by being in the Batman family.
He won't save them in the end of the day, but he'll save the villains. And that doesn't mean he won't try to save them, but it means that someday they'll end up dead, just the way the Joker could have killed all of them. And that's the cruelty of the story to me, is that he's saying, I could have killed them right here and now, but I decided to let you do it as a mercy to them, so that 20, 30 years from now, they don't go down in some horrifying way to some other villain. Do them that courtesy, please. Like, give them the fucking dignity of lighting the match yourself and kissing them goodbye and saying you all get to die as a family.
That's a good monologue right there. That's good. That's a good villain point right there.
And that's what he's saying. He's saying, do it now, because otherwise it's going to end much worse. And to be totally honest, and I haven't said it, but I mean, this is true. Like, to be totally honest, we fully intend to bring him back worse. To be like, I gave you the chance.
So when the Joker returns under your guidance, he's going to be even more vicious.
Well, yeah, that whole storyline was about love. I mean, if he comes back, the next one would be about hatred.
Good call.
So yeah, 100% would he be more vicious.
Now, as you're writing Joker for the first time, and you didn't do him in Detective at all prior?
I did an issue of him in Detective, and the fun of it was we did an issue where they told us that we could use Joker, but I guess DC was also sort of tired of him prancing around. So I was like, well, what if we do him in a way where you don't even see him? He's like tied up and he has a face mask on because he's sort of Hannibal Lecter, right. And so we did it like that, where he never got to move. And it was fun because I was nervous about it, but he got into his head where you realize how evil he is. Like, he's almost kind of like the devil's tongue, the way we write him, where he gets to say to this doctor who's pushing him down the hallway, he's like, let me tell you a joke, and he's like, or a story, and he starts going into this story about a guy, and it's so funny. It's about a guy whose wife has multiple sclerosis, and she's just deteriorating, and you're like, this isn't funny at all, and you realize it's the guy's wife, and he's the doctor's wife, and he's going on, and he's like, but actually she dreams of fucking these other people, and she hates her husband, and he's going on and on and on, and the doctor is like, shut up, know, and finally he grabs the Joker, and what he doesn't realize is the Joker's skin, because he's ingested, because his skin is so toxic, from the Joker toxin. Even by touching his bare skin, he gets Joker eyes.
He gets the Joker eyes.
Yeah, and that whole play of him was so fun to write, where and I don't know how to say it. I mean, it really inspired me to be like, God, this guy, when you write him, or at least the way I like to write him and the way he speaks to me personally, is just such the devil. He's so evil and so fun, because I don't really think he's crazy either. I just think he's evil.
You make him literally the monster under the bed. When he's talking to, like, he's been under Gordon's bed listening to shit while he's banging his wife or whatever, you go, oh my God. When I read that, when you sent me that script and I read that, all the hairs on my arm stood up. I just go, yeah, he's literally, you make him the monster under your bed.
He's the most fun. He's the excuse to be pure evil, and he pretends to be crazy. To me, at least, I feel like he pretends to be crazy to just sort of give himself an excuse to be evil.
Just like, mask the malevolence. Like, it's not really so much, I'm nuts. It's just like, I like to hurt.
I dig this stuff.
Yeah, this is the way we should be.
Yeah, and he can take you down in 3 sentences. Even to Harvey Bullock in one of the issues, he's just like, oh, hey, Harvey, is that you? And Harvey has the gun on him, and he's like, I didn't see you when all your cop friends are being killed. He's like, were you out were you out at that bar, the Undertow,
Right,
behind it? Because he
right.
knows Harvey was an ex-drunk and whatever. All he has to do is just sort of, he
Just
dismantles
finds the
you like
nerve
that.
and brings it down.
Yeah, he's fun. The weirdest thing was writing so many issues with him, and then I would like write him and then go to soccer practice with Jack. Completely fucked in your head, where you're like, and he's like, because he's so evil, and I always felt badly. I'd be like texting you like, what do you think if he fucking rips their toes off, whatever, and I'm like, oh, good goal, kid, good goal, son, and you're like, you're just totally schizophrenic.
So for you, you're looking at these scripts and you're like, right on, we're going into Joker world. You've now tackled the iconic character of the Bat for so long that people are just like, he's the gold standard for Batman. Joker, though, trepidation, adventure, where you're like, oh, I can't wait, or I've always had these ideas in the back of my head. How does one head into the Joker?
For me, Joker was putting on some well-worn slippers. After so many years of Spawn.
It's a relative of the clown.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I mean, it was very much just slipping on those slippers. It was so easy for me. So I enjoyed it. I got to express myself in a way that I'd expressed myself for 80 some odd issues. So it was really that aspect was a cakewalk. It was cool.
And you're doing the facelifted Joker, right?
Which was awesome because all the ideas, from my Spawn days fly back in my head instantly, and I'm going, what could happen, be cool, is because it's no longer on refrigeration, so it could deteriorate. We could have flies buzzing around,
nice.
As it gets worse. And I told FCO, colors the book, I go, hook it up, man. It's starting. And so he gave it all these nasty mottled tones of greens and browns. He made it look so messed up. That with the gingivitis I had going on, it looks horrendous. And we kept escalating it. And then so it became, the flies then became like a motif. And then at the end, it became this cool thing we could add at the end. So it started off, which is kind of like what happens with us as this stuff morphs, organically, as you go, now we can use the flies to be the period at the end of this whole thing. And it's almost like the monster sticking his hand up from the grave, because we end with Bruce Wayne is at a computer in the Bat Cave, and at the end, here comes a fly and lands on the screen. So it's almost like, was he there? Is he still, and it gives you that moment. So, I mean.
And that's something that just comes from like, draw some flies around him. And suddenly
that's
from
just
him.
Kind of, and again, it's from all those years drawn, horror comic, basically, Spawn. So, yeah, the Joker was probably one of the easiest things I had to do.
But you don't give yourself enough credit with that, because my feeling is that
I'm a goddamn genius.
No, it's different than Violator and stuff, because what the thing is that one of the things that I think is hardest with Joker, because I wrote him just straight up scary, and it was like halfway through the first issue where I remember calling James, who's here too, who does the backups, and saying to him, you know what, my concern is that I'm not playing up the humor, the whole totally satanic humor in him. And I started changing the way I wrote him so he had more jokes and stuff. But instinctively, the way Greg drew him was theatrical, where he was incredibly creepy and kind of snuck out of the shadows to surprise you. But then the way when he was giving a speech or when he was in the light was so performative and so like showboating.
Flamboyant.
Flamboyant, that it was just so perfect, where it was a blend of, this kind of slinking, dirty, terrifying man in the shadows. And then once he was out there, laughing at you, even in his gestures and his physicality. And that, to me, that inspired me writing him the same way the Fly, gave me a thought. I'm like, he's like the fly in the ointment for Batman, and the Fly being Lord of the Flies, and the devil, all that stuff. And I don't know, we work really well that way. I think.
That's the cool thing about being flexible, because that's how some magic takes place. Because, I mean, you influence each other, and as you said, you inspire each other. And so, you'll read something and you'll go, and then he gets that, and then and so if you have that flexibility, then I think that's where you really, if you could get rid of that ego and get to where we're at, that's when the real magic happens. If there's any secret to our formula, that's it. It's not having a concrete formula. It's just go boom, boom, bounce off each other.
And it's the flexibility that, like, that moment at the end of the book, Fly buzzing into Batcave and hitting the screen or whatever, that to somebody defines that book. And it's something that only came about together. Like, you're reading a script and you're like, I'm going to add this. And then you're like, I like this. I'm going to expand on this. And suddenly people go like, that guy's a brilliant writer. And that guy's a brilliant artist, and you're just feeding each other. It's kind of sweet.
Yeah, and sometimes, certainly when I came up with the idea with the flies, I didn't have that moment at the end planned.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of it. And that's part of the joy of doing this stuff is how it develops and it unfolds in front of you. And it's almost like a magic trick. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm still thrilled to do comics, because of that. It's like magical exploration and things pop up that you didn't expect. It's just like watching a magic show. Wow, look at the rabbit pop out of that guy. It's that kind of fun. And that keeps me like a little boy,
Now, I've asked you, I think the last time you were on the show, and I asked you too on Comic Book Man, I don't know if they'll include it, but I said, when you draw Batman, where do you start? When you're drawing the Joker, where does one start? Teeth, grin, eyes? Like, where is the crazy begin?
For me, body English is a big part of the Joker. That other stuff, the window dressing, is easy, and for me, it's all about his gestures. I mean, we have him meeting Batman on a bridge in isolation. It's this great scene, where it starts with this very wide widescreen standoff, and they slowly approach, and after a time, Bruce is pinned down, or Batman's pinned down, and so I decide, to have Joker reclining across the railing of the bridge. He's completely laid out, So a lot of the portrayal of the Joker to me is in his postures. He'll tilt his head, and clasp his hands, in a loving manner as he's saying something really fucked up, or whatever, So to me, that's his game. It's all about the skeleton. That's Joker. The rest is just window dressing.
Now, they, of course, is a business and they're able to track sales. It sold incredibly well, correct?
Yeah, it did well.
We've been very, very lucky that the fans have been, digging
it's
what we're
not lucky.
doing.
It's like when you produce a quality book, tell a story people want to read, you're working with the character everybody likes, but you bring something to it. You're not just like executing, you're elevating. So, of course, people are going to be attracted to the book, man.
Thank you. I always try and, keep perspective and say some of it's luck, because especially with art, because art is subjective, and some people like your style and some people hate your style, and the fact that so many people are liking the style, to me, I think that's a bit of luck, because there's a lot of great artists around, and but not all of them get to be where I am at the moment. So maybe it's a different thing with the writing, and it is, as you say, but I think there's, in my view, there's that intangible that is, did you hit the right button in the most amount of people? But whatever, I'll take it whatever way it comes.
I think though too, again, like with to inflate your ego too much.
That's okay. Go ahead.
I don't think that's possible. Greg.
All right. But no, I mean, the thing is that my feeling, because I thought about that too, because I never expected the book to be doing as well as it is at this point, 2 years in. And, I'm same as him. We always talk about, much it means to us and all that. And it does. But, part of the fun of it is that you feel like when I see what Greg how he's changed, if you go back and you look at Batman 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then you look at Batman
Please
21. Well, that's what I mean though. And you see, I think it's a masterpiece, like those pages that you did at the beginning, because I remember seeing them and being like, and showing them to my friends, to James and whoever, and being like, look at this fucking amazing, I want this page. It was like page 1. For real. And then, but the thing is, your style has changed so much between then and now. And every arc he changes to adapt and to grow. And it makes me feel the same way. So if you look at the way I've written them, Court of Owls is this very long, kind of slow burn story with a lot of internal narration. Joker is much more sort of stacked and propulsive and claustrophobic and paranoid. And this one, Zero Year, is totally different. The same way, because I was looking at some of the stuff that I thought you were doing at the end of Joker, and I was like, let's try this, stylistically. And Zero Year, to me, there's no narration in the whole thing. It's very cacophonous in terms of the way it's cut up and structured and meant to be fast. But part of the fun is that, at least on the book, we're trying, or I'm trying to keep up with him in terms of, evolving as a creative team all the time, so that we're trying to not top ourselves, but change to give you something exciting in each arc that's different than the last. to the expense of a lot of other things. I think like our health. Like I always call him. It was just like I mean,
Are you still alive?
yeah, I'm always worried about him. I mean, I feel like
everywhere. My doctor worries about me, But the thing is, for me, we're talking about the evolution and how I no longer, would prefer to look at the first issue of Batman that I ever drew. I mean, apart from the pressure binding me up, pressure's never good. It hinders performance. So that was definitely an issue there. But for me, I have to grow into a book. When I'm drawing a book ongoing, I mean, if you look at my 80 issue run of Spawn, it was constantly changing. And the same has happened here on Batman. The book tells you how it wants to be drawn. The characters tell you how it wants to be drawn. They go, I think my ear should be that kind of ear, or this, I should have a little paunch, or whatever. I should have this affect. And so it takes time for that to develop. And after 2 years of being on the book, that has really started to become a solid thing where I go, this is this way this character is and behaves and looks and this and that. And that takes time to cultivate. And for me anyway, I don't know how other artists do it, but the thing about me is, as far as drawing style is, I don't think that I have a style. I think you'll always be able to look at my work and go, it's Greg Capullo's work, but I'm drawing Batman the way I feel Batman wants to be drawn, not the way he needs to be. That's how Batman wants me to draw the book. If I were to go and do Spider-Man, which is a completely different character, you'd go, he's not drawing it like he drew Batman. Right, because it's not Batman, it's Spider-Man. And I draw Wolverine different, I draw Fantastic Four different, I draw Green Arrow different, I draw Aquaman, whoever. They all have to be handled in their own way, and they will tell me how to draw. My cartoony, bendy style, twisted character style worked in Spawn for what that was. It wouldn't have worked in Batman. So that's why you see the development, the change, because the book is talking to me.
Nice, artful. Let me ask you this, man. We touched on it a couple seconds ago. 0 Year is the title of the arc that you guys are working on right now. So for those that don't follow the comics that closely, DC a couple of years ago relaunched their entire line. They had the New 52. In doing so, they've reintroduced all the characters, given you their origins again. They haven't done anything crazy where it's just like Superman's now from fucking Mars and he's a woman. Like everything's pretty much the way it should be. Definitely little things have been altered and whatnot, but they didn't do it for Batman. When the book launched, that motor is the number one is the motorcycle cover of him making the jump to the helicopter.
Yeah, number two. Yeah,
number two.
It's basically, yeah.
When you start that book, there was no Bruce Wayne sees his parents gunned down. They didn't tell it from the frame one of his story on. We kind of jumped into the middle, and it took a little while to figure out where is he in his career. Year 1, year 2, he seems to know some things, but everything's still kind of young. So what they wanted to do, and I guess what they've done with all the DC characters, with the exception of Batman, was kind of like, we need to do the origin, man, because as we're starting the universe over again, you got a lot of people jumping on the book. It's a great time to fucking, get everything straight for this run, for this 5-10 year run of the New 52, however long it winds up being. We got to rebuild our mythos. They hadn't done it with Batman. So naturally, when they want to do it, they reach out to you guys. And essentially what they want to do is, in the parlance of old comics, year one. Mm-hmm. Like Frank Miller did this wonderful miniseries in the midst of Batman, if I remember correctly, called Year One, that tells Batman's first year on the job. 0 Year, I guess, is the New 52's version of doing that. So you're then tasked, both of you, with going back and telling the origin story, not just like, my parents were killed, but the whole first year of his fucking career. Exciting, yes, but intimidating as fuck because it's been done, because we know a year one, because we've all seen Batman's origin done to death. So when handed that task, do you guys go, fuck it, or do you go, oh man, I don't want to fucking go. I want to go forward, not backwards. Which was it?
Go ahead.
Well, for me, it was kind of a combination. I mean, what happened was I had an idea for a story that I knew I wanted to go into the past for this year, mostly because I felt like there was a lot of stuff happening at DC that I was excited about, but I felt like we had done a lot of crossovers between Night of the Owls and then Joker, that I wanted to sort of take the book back and do something singular, the two of us. And I had this idea for a story where it would be early in Batman's career, where it would be a year that they called sort of 0 years, a season they called 0 season, where everything stopped. Like Gotham was turned into almost a prehistoric, post-apocalyptic, horrifying, almost I Am Legend kind of fucking ruined city. And that Batman's legend partly formed in that environment. And so what happened was I had this in mind and I kind of teased it a little bit to him. And then they came along and said, you know, basically, more or less, like Batman is one of the few characters who hasn't had his origin retold. And at some point we're going to have to do that. And I remember being like, well, you know, we did it. Year one told his origin. And then it was pointed out to me little by little that so many of the elements that are crucial to that story that, you know, and just to back up for a second, like, for me, growing up in New York City, I mean, year one was huge. I mean, that came out when I was 10 or 11. And that, along with Dark Knight Returns, cemented this notion of Batman being a book that was incredibly relevant and dark and psychologically, you know, important at that moment. So, because for me, it was New York was that place that you see in year one where there's fucking prostitutes and drugs and you can't go to Central Park as a kid. And
it looks like Martin Scorsese's New York from Taxi Driver.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And that's the city that, you know,
That's true, because I guess it predates Giuliani year one, doesn't it?
Yeah,
so there's
right.
no New York cleanup yet. Times Square is still where you go see fuck
Where you
movies
get fun.
and
Yeah,
drugs.
it was still fun.
Fun, good stuff. Not Shrek the musical. More like fuck the back alley one actor.
It was. I think last time I remember talking to you about it and saying, like, you know, we used to go to Times Square to get the fake IDs and the M80s, and you'd go to Arcade Playland on.
It was the forbidden
43rd.
zone,
Yeah.
dude. Like, don't ever go to Times Square.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
I
and-
went there when I was like 18, 19. What a great time.
Yeah, well, I just remember it was just like it was just like, you know, does that my parents, like, if they knew you went there, they'd revoke your fucking
yeah, like you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Times Square, we raised you better than that.
It was like that, and then
So year one, you loved it for that reason. You're a
Yeah,
city kid. You're reading about
it was
young Gotham
Batman
City. It
real.
looks like
Yeah, it was real, and so. When they said that to me, I was like, no, you know, this is the origin. And then they started pointing out that a lot of the elements that are crucial to that story, Selena Kyle's, you know, background, Catwoman's background.
She's
Jim
a
Gordon's,
prostitute.
all of that.
Jim
has
Gordon's first. He's Captain Gordon. He's not even a captain at that point. He's a lieutenant.
It's all been retconned in the new 52, meaning Selena Kyle's origin has now been shown in a different way in the 52.
She's no longer doesn't come from a prostitute background.
And so is, you know, the Falcone family is different. James Jr., if you follow the new 52 logic, would be 6 years old if year one held. And
I never understood that
yeah
relationship. Like in the many incarnations of the Bat universe, and this is mostly in the modern age, from like Frank Miller forward, it always got muddier and muddier what Barbara's relationship was to Jim Gordon and what little James Gordon, who at some point just disappears, kind of from the mythos, what it was. Did they clean that up or what?
Well, that was the thing. Was do
you get to do that? You're like, I'm gonna fucking get rid of this little James Gordon baby. I never liked him.
Yeah, well, the way I got started on Batman in Detective, the Black Mirror, that story we did.
That's right, as James Gordon. Right? Yeah.
So part of it was built on the reverence for year one, and then. When the 52 happened and then Barbara is now Jim's daughter and James is the same age, it wouldn't track anymore. It would make him, if Batman started 6 years ago and year one had happened 6 years ago, James and Barbara would both be 6.
Right.
And so there's no fucking way that year one could exist. So they told me all this stuff, and it was kind of like, well, why don't I thought to myself,
first they had to kill it for the fan in you. They're like, look, dude,
they did.
As much as you like it, it can't be anymore.
Well, I was the one that was out there at cons when the 52 launched, being like, we will not let Batman's origin change. You know, so I feel like half the time I worry about being called a fucking hypocrite for going back and redoing it. But the point is, like, I would never go back and redo it if it wasn't something that was gone. Like, and that they're going to redo with or without us in some way. And my feeling was that I had this story that was like, let's do it in a different way. And when we started it, I mean, and I'll shut up and let you talk, but I mean, when we started it, I tried to keep everything from year one. I tried to use the story I had, which was the city being transformed into this terrible place, and then keep these important beats from year one. You've all feasted well.
Honor the past. So were you thinking of including it?
Yeah, all of it. I was including that, the bat through the window, the James Jr., all of it, just trying to reclaim it. And what I realized was it would just be doing a shittier version of that.
You're doing a cover song,
right? And just trying to keep it, right? And so what happened was it was like, you know what? You're going to have to discard it and do it in a different way. And if you're going to do it that way, then try and do it in a way where it's about the city today and make the Red Hood Gang, who's the villain in it, you know, representative of the kind of big scale violence you're afraid of since 9/11 and the random violence you're afraid of since the kind of, you know, crazy shootings that have been going on. And that it's not really about urban decay. I mean, you go to Times Square and it's fucking Disney World now, but you're still afraid that someone's going to blow up that area.
Well, now they just want to blow up Disney World,
right? So,
in Times Square.
So can we do a story that shows Batman relevant now? Meaning, what if Batman grew up today and not 6 years ago today? Because that was part of what I remember DC being like, well, you know, you do stuff that's going to be the prototypes for today. And I remember being in there being like to Greg, if we do it, we're not going to fucking do, this is what the Batmobile would look like 6 years ago. We're going to do, this is Batman forming right now as though, you know, 6 years ago, but now.
Right. And
why is he relevant now? And what would he think of if he faced a gang that was essentially a terrorist organization? What would it be? And what is the message that we can deliver that's different than year one in terms of him not just inspiring fear in criminals, but inspiring people to say, I might die in a bomb attack on a bus today or a fucking, you know, a plane crashing into a building, but I'm still going to live my life because that's the legacy of me, that I wasn't afraid. And maybe that's what Gotham is about. And to tell a story that sort of brought all of that in and did it in a way that was 180 degrees from year one, that became something that I got very, looking at Greg, like very passionate about and saying, all right, you want us to do it. We're going to do it our way. It's going to be 11 to 12 issues and, you know, you can't mess with it. Here's the outline. If you approve it, it's not going to change.
Right. We're like, whatever we do from this, once you say yes, that's fucking it. And it's done. And I don't care how much you decide that this is too much or this is too dark or this is we're going that way. And that's it. And what did they respect it right away?
They did. They read it and they liked it. And then we went that way. And so that's where we are. We're going in it and we're really proud of it, you know, and I'm really happy with it. But along the way, I'll say, like, it caused me so much stress worrying about redoing the origin. I mean, this guy was a great friend to me. I mean, I've always had, you know, anxiety and stuff since I was a kid. I've been on medication since I've been like 18, you know, pretty much for that. And the stress of this worrying about redoing the year one caused me like a serious wheel to fall off where I was in trouble.
He was on the ledge.
I was on the ledge. I was like, you know, because I've had OCD and all that stuff since I was literally in college, you know, like real, and not like, oh, you know, you have OCD and it's some kind of, you know, like
euphemism for like, I don't pay attention much. Like you're clinically got OCD.
No, really, you know, the SSI, the real, like, you know, I think they're poisoning me.
Right.
Like that OCD where you're out of your head.
Right.
And I called him up. Like I had so much stress about worrying about redoing the origin when I was like, we have to do it. No, but we can't do it. But we have to do it. We can't do it. I was, you know, paralyzed with it. And this guy really, you know, and James, who's here, right, got me on the phone and talked me through it. And, you know, I'm really couldn't be prouder of this story. But the bottom line, the thing I'm trying to get at is that we're not doing it for the fun of getting to redo Batman's origin.
Right.
I promise to everybody. We're doing it because it's a story we believe in, and, you know, we want to do something that gives this generation a Batman story that might not be even a fraction as good as something like Year One, but is about now, and it's the best of our ability. And we've both been through hell doing it.
Yeah.
Like, definitely.
And we're not done yet.
Yeah.
It's still more to
It's
go.
been really tough.
So yeah, 6.5 more issues to go. But I mean, for me, you know, in the beginning, you know, intimidated as well. I mean, it's the retelling of the origin of Batman. And so I'm not fearful anymore, but I'm definitely still, I'm under a lot of pressure because I want it to be the best that it could possibly be, because I know that this one is going to be around for a long time. And, you know, I want to open it up and be proud of it. You know what I mean? And I want future generations to love it and be inspired by it. So I'm being stupid anal over the most tiny details that make no difference, but they make a difference to me. So therefore I spend endless hours to tweak and hone and get it better and better. But the thing is, you know, and Scott has said it in past many times, is year one is perfect, and we're not trying to do year one.
And for those who are like, you keep hearing us say year one, if you've listened to a show called Fatman on Batman, 90% sure y'all know what year one is, but just in case 10% going, what is year one? Year one is, as you hear from the tone of all our voices, is a masterwork that we all fell in love with at a young age, written by Frank Miller, drawn by David Mazzucchelli. It tells the story of Batman's first year, but it's so well done. As Scott pointed out, it was we've all now seen the Chris Nolan Batman, so we all know what it looks like when someone treats Batman earnestly, seriously, and tries to set it in the real world. This is the first time they did that. Like back in year one, I mean, of course, you can include The Dark Knight Returns, but it's quasi-futuristic. But year one is the first time that anybody took Batman since the beginning of the character and said, well, what if this shit was real? And it was less whiz-bang and James Bondy, but it was about a guy who's going to put on these fucking togs and go out in the night and figure out how to fight crime and eventually arrive at this Bat conclusion. So it is a masterwork. If you like Batman even remotely, it's a book you're very familiar with. Scott pointed out before, one of the key images, everybody knows this image, is ladies and gentlemen of Gotham, you've eaten well. Batman bombing in on the politicos and the gangsters as they eat dinner and stuff like that. Full of iconic moments. So for some cats sitting there listening, like, why do these fuckers give a shit about drawing a fucking or writing a comic book? Again, when you're sitting down at the table to be like, okay, we're going to do something that they did 20 years ago that was so powerful that even today as industry professionals, we still fucking gently whisper about it and don't want to fuck with it. And you're talking about, we're all grown men who are paid to write a comic book, draw a comic. So at that point, you should be like, great, I'm getting paid to do what I love. But still, you hit a wall as a fan who's just like, I don't know. I can't go near this. That was me on Daredevil. Joey Quesada and Jimmy Palmiotti were like, do Daredevil. You love Frank Miller's Daredevil. I said, yeah, totally. Then I called back like a week later. I was like, I can't do this, man. I'm scared. And they're like, what are you talking about? I was like, Frank Miller wrote Daredevil, man. I got no business being anywhere near just because I like that character. Don't make me qualified to fucking write it. So there is trepidation. If you love this shit and if you do this shit for a living, chances are you love it on some level, as much as the average reader. But if you do this shit and love this shit, it's tough to just take that gig. I'm sitting here, as you guys tell the story, I go, all right, these guys said no and pussed out. And they come to me and they're like, you got to do year zero. You want to do it? I would pass. Are you kidding me? That is like, who wants that fucking pressure? Because then you got every fucking reader on the planet going like, you fucked it up, or you left this out, or you didn't do this right. So you guys, it was, I could see whereas it would have been trying. It might have put you on a ledge for sure, because that's fucking scary, man. And you know, some people are like, dude, I've been in the theater of war. That's scary. Of course, all things being relative, your life being threatened is way scary. Exactly. But that being said, it's unnerving because you're again, it's not like you guys are head and spoke to the wheel. They're going, for this generation, you are year one, go. And, you know, it's easy to say that. It's a different thing to execute it or elevate it. And it sounds like you guys went at it with the right amount of like, should we, shouldn't we? But then, of course, just like, look, if we don't, it comes down to the practical. Like, if we don't do it, someone else is.
Right.
Might as well be us. And we've done 2 years on the character and we've got it down. Let's head into it. Let's just swallow the fear and fucking go with it.
And it's funny because I would call my wife, you know, like, and she's a doctor, so I would call her and she'd be in the ER, and I'd be like, "Oh my god, I'm so fucking nervous." Like, and by the way, like, wait, let me ask you something. If Bruce Wayne got hit by a laser, and she's like, "I'm pumping someone's heart. This is important, Jeannie." Like, whatever.
The first thing I did, because early on, Scott and everyone wanted to call it year zero. I says, let's change that right off the bat to 0 year.
Not me. That was them.
Oh, it was them?
Yeah, it was. I'd be you stuck up.
They told me it was you.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
Okay, see how they play?
So first year zero would have put it closer to year one.
Yeah,
and right away,
I didn't like that.
Yeah.
I go, yeah, we're already too close. So, and I felt 0 year has a better ring to it. So I go, let's do that. So they agreed. So that's 0 year. And then, but you know why I don't stress about it so much? I mean, because certainly we've revisited certain iconic moments like the bat and everything like that, but we've redone it in a very different way. And there's so much more to this story that is so far removed from that story that I don't think people will be inclined to compare them. I mean, at first blush, when they heard we were doing this, they were drawing comparisons before anything was released. I think, we're still only like not even quite halfway through. By the end of this whole ride, they won't be drawing the comparison because it is not anything like year one. And I'm sure that Scott intentionally has gone, we're going to go far enough this way. Because as you said about a cover song, you were never going to match it on any level to retrace those steps. So we're not retracing those steps.
Yeah.
Which includes a new costume.
Yeah, which is a lot of fun.
And new Batmobile and all that stuff.
Now this is 0 year. So like you said before, it's set then, but it's in the present. So it would be what Batman would be doing right now, not like this is what he did 6 years ago.
It's supposed to be what he did 6 years ago, but what I was saying to him is, let's just say fuck it and imagine that it's like our rebooting of the Batman mythos as though it happened right now, because who wants to see a suit that's like a prototype of what you see now? So why not just do it as something that is just looks awesome as a brand new suit? So that
was the idea. You like take the Batman suit and don't like retro engineer it.
I think we tried to give a little bit of a nod to Bob Kane. We've got the purple gloves. And we couldn't give him the trunks, but that's okay.
I fought for the trunks.
I know the trunks have been cool, man.
What was editorials just like no more trunks?
No more trunks, man.
More. I was like, but they're awesome.
They're still there. I just wear them underneath, but they're there.
There's a thin line.
I fought the whole fight. It was like, what if they go down the leg to the side, and what if they're like almost expand? It was until they got so demented. It was like, all right, just fuck it.
So there's a mandate within DC with like no more trunks.
Yeah,
Superman lost his shorts. Batman doesn't have his shorts. I guess one by one.
No
Aquaman will lose his underpants. Underpants under the pants, damn it. After 50, 60 years.
So it's cool. I got to design a new bat suit and a new Batmobile. This is my second Batmobile that I've got to invent.
Are you a car guy? Is that easy? Or do you have
this car is just a pain in the ass because real automotive parts are shown. I don't want to give too much away, but front end linkage and stuff like that. So you can't fake that stuff. I guess I could have gone make believe, engineering, but I used actual car parts and stuff. When I was a kid, I used to build model cars and used to like to draw funny cars and dragsters a lot and used to get the magazine cartoons and stuff like that. So that aspect of it I like, but cars are kind of a pain in the ass, especially like, I gotta be honest, if I gotta draw a group of cop cars, they all have to be the same car. I'm drawing them at all different angles. It's kind of not as fun, but you know what I mean? I get it done. But the Batmobile, it's fun designing it. But this one, as I said, it's got some stuff that makes it a little bit of work. So I'll just be careful in the angles that I show it.
Mostly back end shot.
Yeah. But Scott had this cool trick that he has it do, and so there was no cheating my way through that one. It had to be. That's it, man. Let's get out the ruler and the ellipses and make this thing look accurate, But it came out pretty cool, don't you think?
Oh, it looks amazing. Yeah. The funny thing is, like, I never think about the actual real world.
No writer does. No writer does.
I'm always like, yeah, well, it's a car, and guess what? It leaps into the air, and then it does this. And then I say to him, and I'm like, go.
No. Listen, all of us guys who do what I do curse all of you guys who do what you do for that reason. It's like it took him 3 seconds to type that fucking line, and I think he's gonna
2 nights. I'm drawing this hopping car,
trying to make it happen.
I was like, well, what's the? Yeah, I mean, I remember it's like, well, the wheels just go like this.
Yeah, and I'm going, okay, how
so? And I'm like, they just do. Like, it's like when I was like, oh, and there's like 3 horses being carried, and I'm like, it's one line for me, but I'm drawing horses upside down.
I mean, it's an age-old joke. A battle between an army of angels versus an army of demons. Go.
What's the next issue?
How many issues is 0 year?
It's 11.
So is that a full year?
It's almost a full year, yeah. It's one of the things is because when we announced it, they were like, everyone was like, "What's it going to be like? 4 issues of pearls falling?" And I remember being like, "Yes," and they were just like, they didn't think I was kidding at all. But no, it's actually a really fast story because it's broken into 3 sections. So it's three. It's a 4-part arc, a 3-part arc, and a 4-part arc, pretty much. So,
how much you want to spoil? Who makes appearances beyond the usual gang of idiots? Batman, of course, and Alfred. But who else?
Well, the first section that were 3 issues. The 4th issue comes out in the mid-October, and it has the first new Batsuit. It's when he first steps into the costume and all of that. He's facing the Red Hood gang, and it really has to do with the origin of the Joker and all of those kinds of things. And it's about Bruce coming back from being overseas and learning that he needs not just to be a vigilante, but he needs to mean something that inspires the populace of Gotham when they're facing this terrorist threat in the Red Hood gang. The second section, which starts in November, we haven't really said a lot about, but why not? Right? We're here.
Spoil it.
Yeah, spoilers. It's you learn in the first section that the big villain of the whole year is the Riddler. It's Edward Nygma was working for Wayne Industries, and he kind of gets fired in this unceremonious way, and he decides he's going to become this threat to the city. And why not make the city smarter? Because they're so fucking stupid. They don't see that he's like the guy that should be respected.
Right.
And so the first section ends with the Riddler really coming to prominence and wearing the costume for the first time and saying, all right, Gotham, riddle me this. And he sets a riddle in motion that essentially cripples the city and transforms it over the course of the next 2 sections. Section 1 introduces him, but section 2 begins his kind of plot. And the second section is called Dark City. The first is Secret City, and it happens in Wall City's normal. The second is Dark City, where it happens where he's taken over and you don't understand what he's up to, but the whole city has been kind of blacked out and dark. And the third section, which you get a tease of in the opening issue, is called Wild City, and the whole city almost looks prehistoric, overgrown, and completely savage. And it's almost like a savage land Gotham where Bruce is a survivalist.
Stuff you just don't see in Batman.
Yeah.
And so Bruce is driving a steam-powered motorcycle, and it's got his arms, the sleeves.
Which I got to tell you, Danny Mickey, I guess, drives a motorcycle or whatever, and he goes, "That doesn't work, man." And I go, "No, dude, this one's steam-powered." Oh, And he's going, "The red light would be on because of this," and then I go, "No, this one runs on steam."
I was just going to be like,
"Oh, okay, I'll just shut my mouth from now and leave you guys to do the work."
I would just be like, "Call my wife in the ER. Take it up with her." Anyway, so it's these 3 sections, and it's really these 3 lessons that Batman needs to learn Bruce needs to learn before he can fully become the Batman we know. So it's a year almost, but it's really sort of almost 3 little stories. And the Riddler is the big bad guy through the whole thing. You're going to see our take on the origin of the Joker and whether or not it's really him. You have to read the issue.
Lots of cool scenes coming.
Yeah, you're going to see a fun villain in the second section.
I saw that scene. That's
Right. I showed you early.
You showed me. You sent me some pages, and I saw that scene. That's a good scene. It is a good scene.
Thanks, man.
That was the one I went for right away. When I opened it up, I was just like, "Ooh, I wonder if they're going to do. I wonder if they're going to touch on."
SEL hook up that splash.
I did.
Came out totally sweet.
I know.
Which splash is it?
What?
Without spoiling it.
It's the closest we come to revealing, or to the.
It involves liquid.
Yeah,
nice.
or the Ace Chemical.
Damaging.
Yeah, I mean, part of the fun with the Joker, the origin, I guess we could just spoil it in the way of saying that I get so many angry tweets, honestly, and messages from people that are like, "Oh, you're doing the origin and you're doing the Red Hood gang. If you fucking asshole, you're going to show the origin of the Joker." And
glad I just draw.
No, seriously, they're like, "Next con when I see you," I'm like, whatever, dude.
Next guy when I see you, I'm gonna fucking punch you for doing your job.
I'd love, whatever, I guess. Then I'm like, all right. But anyway, the thing with it is that if you know us, like, and you think that we've handled Batman for a while, like, if you really think that we're going to give a definitive origin of the Joker and say, here he is, we dropped him into the vat, and he's going to come out and say, this is my origin, then you haven't been reading the book, so just wait and see what happens and all of that. But, the fun of it at the end of the day is when you're dealing with these characters, they're so, I don't know, they're so important to you personally, and I see my kid, like my weird as it is, my 6-year-old's favorite character is the Joker. I know he was Darth Vader for Halloween and all. He's always like the villain, and it totally freaks me out.
That's Jackson too. Hope they don't meet up and go on a crime spree someday.
They're just more visually interesting.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
that's what
saying.
I-
In the case of Darth Vader versus Luke Skywalker, who's more visually interesting
Darth,
to look
gotta
at? Darth
say it,
Vader.
man, yeah.
Now, in the
Except-
case of Batman and the Joker,
They're both cool.
They're both cool, but the Joker, I think people lean toward because they're like, he's fucking crazy and he can do anything and he's nuts. Whereas Batman stands for good, you know, like doing the right thing.
Except
Good
when
is
you see
boring.
the class picture and it's like all the kids as unicorns and your kid is the fucking black smudge with the red lightsaber.
He's like, why so serious?
Yeah, exactly. You know, but I mean, when you're dealing with them and they're so, you know, important to you or whatever it is, you know, I totally understand why people get that mad.
But Batman fans are the most fanatical fans I've ever seen, which is one of the things that makes what we do intimidating. You know, why we are always, you know, fucking biting our nails for making the right moves too, is because, I mean, they're crazy. Look at this, right? And come and beat them up at a convention. You know, they're not doing that for Aquaman or whatever. You know what I mean? Something about Batman people are so emotionally invested in it that they just, you know, you gotta worry that you're gonna tick somebody off or ruin their you ruined my whole life with what you wrote. You know, it's just crazy. You know,
Dude, I made the mistake of like at one point referring, not even flat out doing it, but making a reference to Batman maybe not being able to control his bladder in the face of a searing heat blast, which medically is absolutely true. I talked to a fireman friend of mine. I was like, when you're in a blast, what does it feel like? He's just like, when you're getting hit by an intense wave of heat, he's going, this is somebody nobody talks about, dude, but you piss your pants. I was like, is that right? He's like, think about it. If you go in a hot shower, the moment the hot water hits you, you know, you feel like you got to take a leak. He's like, so many a fire I've been on where you get blasted with a wave of heat. And he's going, it's just, you can't help it. It just hits your body physically.
wow.
So I went to that moment in year zero where, you know, he's doing Ladies and Gentlemen, Gotham, You've Eaten Well. He explodes the wall. He puts up a small incendiary, blows the wall out, and then fucking does this really cool move where he tells everybody, you know, fucking I'm here in the darkness and shit. And in our storyline, we flash back to it, but I had him telling this other guy, he's like, when I lit the charge, you know, the intense heat, this is all I said, dude. He goes, I had a bladder spasm. And the other guy goes, like, no, you would like, I don't think he said he pissed your pants, but he kind of like intimated, you like pissed yourself or something to that effect. And Batman repeats, I had a bladder spasm. Never says he pissed himself and shit. But should have been issue 6 of Winding Gyre. We built this thing for 6 months. Nobody knew where it was coming. The last page is real like, Fada, fuck you. You had no idea. Look at this shit. That's all anybody should have talked about.
Yeah.
But Batman fans are so fucking hardcore that for weeks, months, you'd still probably find somebody talking about it. All they did was go after me. Like, you made Batman piss his pants, you fucking jerk off. Batman would never, only you would piss your pants, fat boy. I had to take so much fucking heat from him. I'm still paying for it to this day, man. And I'm like, but it's medically accurate. People like their Batman the way they like him, man. But so far, you guys have been tempting fate, making tiny changes, making lefts and rights, and not losing that many people. Like, maybe you get some people going, if you do this, I'll see you with a gun. I'll fucking punch you. But generally speaking, it's a lot of praise for the work you guys are doing.
Scott's always, you know, before launching into one of these things, he's going, now I'm just going to tell you, you know, I'm sorry, you know, if this goes south and they all turn on us.
I do. I email them and I'm like, listen, and I email the whole team.
Because I know that all of our money goes away if, you know, I fuck this up.
Did you think the old creators, like the folks who were doing this back in the days of like, if you want to communicate, you write in a letter to the editor. Do you think those cats sweated the moves as much, or they were just like, who cares about these characters?
Probably
This
not.
kid stuff.
Now your reaction is instantaneous, you know, because of the way we communicate. So, I mean, I think that adds to our pressure, wouldn't you? Do you agree with that, or?
Yeah, I do. I mean, one of the couple things that really like calmed me down when I was really freaking out about doing
is booze.
Number one, liquor.
No joke. You know, I definitely had some drinks, but you being there and being so supportive. I mean, this guy, like I was saying before, you know, how nervous I was, but the point of that was to say that he was a real friend. Like Greg, you know, I spoke to him a number of times each week being like, listen, I love the story, but I am fucking freaking out. And I had such writer's block on it for a couple times where I was just like, I can't write these lines. I'm like so nervous, you know, how can I redo the bat scene and all of that, and I laugh about it now, but it was really hard. I mean, I couldn't get past it. I would write the same sentence over and over and over, and really just totally OCDing out. Where back in therapy, back on medication, all that stuff, and he was just a tremendous friend for that. No, seriously,
Thanks,
I mean
man.
it. But part of it too is just realizing it, that seeing the letters. Another friend of mine sent me some of the letters that Frank Miller got when he had his first issue of Year One, and people or second issue, I think, or they were screaming at him about how he had ruined the mythology by making Gordon bastard and cheating on his wife, and
Really?
never read it again. And even seeing that, not that we could approximate Year One, but seeing the vitriol for him when he had done these things that now I look at.
That were religion.
Right.
These are standard. How did this book exist without these things that he did?
Yeah, and just seeing it and seeing people say literally, and I'll send them over. I think I sent them to you, but where it was like, it was like, I want DC to know I'm dropping every comic because this is a fucking bastardization of the Batman mythos. And just seeing that, made me feel really good too, just because fans are crazy and
have been for decades,
right,
going way back, even 10 minutes ago.
Sure.
Like they love it.
And beyond that.
Their fan is a fanatic. There's fanaticism. That means you're not always thinking level-headed.
But that's the way I was too,
Yeah,
I mean,
me
you
too.
feel like, because the characters mean everything to you and you respect that. I mean, that's the one thing is I can take the punch in the face or whatever at the con and be like, listen, I appreciate that you love Batman that much that you're willing to. I wouldn't actually get punched in the face. I just mean,
you might bob and weave. You might be able to.
Yeah, I
duck that
might
one.
run away, but I'm willing at least to say I understand why you want to punch me. I respect that. At this point,
People don't like change. That's human nature. Then you couple it with fan fanaticism, and you have that. So. But what I said to Scott, is you're a good writer, so we know that you have skill. So, and we know you have passion and love for what you're doing. So, apply it. And you can't get bound up in worrying about what a fan is going to like and what a fan's not going to like, because you can't predict it. So you can't base your moves on it. All we can do is do our very best at this, give you what we believe is our best. And apart from that, we're powerless. It's in their hands at that point. So what are you going to do? That's what I told them you have to do. You have to do it and let it go. And if it comes back with love, lucky for us, comes back with hate, we did our best. At the end of the day, that's all you got. And you got to be able to sleep at night and go, I did it the best I could. They didn't like it. It sucks, but so far they're digging it. And so just got to keep pushing forward.
Yeah, well, we're past the hard part now. In Zero Year, I feel like the first 3 issues have all the stuff that I was like waiting for people to.
Now it's just on to the thrill ride.
The fun stuff, yeah.
I mean, and it is a thrill ride. I tell you, Ken, when I get these scripts, and I mean, I said it probably last time, I'm jaded from all the work I've done. And when I get these scripts, I just like, my nipples pop up and the hair goes up. And I've actually taken pictures of me, reading the scripts, because sometimes I'm scowling and sometimes I'm wide-eyed in fear. I mean, he takes you on such a thrill ride, and I feel it when I'm reading it. And that just makes it such a ball to draw. It's like, I can't wait to do that scene. And then I got that scene. He's just got so much great stuff coming. That's why I think people are going to really, if I'm a betting man, they're going to really, really love this ride.
Thanks.
The greatest bromance in the 21st century of comics has to be between you two. You're so fucking supportive of one another and cute, man. And that relationship.
That's only after many mud wrestling and jello wrestling matches.
No, I feel like we liked each other pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we didn't get along.
You had a meet cute.
No, that's cute.
You
Yeah,
know.
no, that's true. That's true. And it happened rapidly, but the people want to think that we really were at each other's throats, so I just give the people what they want. We hated each other.
I don't know. Anybody listening to this episode is going to be like, I think those dudes are married.
And you know what? It's right. And that's why, like, this whole thing about, no characters should get married. Conflict is like the first rule of writing. I think it should be a mandate that all superheroes get married. All of them. I mean, think of the classic fights. I mean, I'm in a happy marriage. I love you, Jamie. You know that you and I get along swimmingly. But I'm saying most people, they have fights in their marriage. I'd marry every single goddamn character in the universe and let the sparks fly.
Let's since you
Superman's
open that
drinking
door
heavily now.
yeah, he can't deal with his relationship. He's feeling left out. The since you opened the door, we'll touch on it real quickly. There was an incident that happened over at DC. I guess it was last week or 2 weeks ago or something like that, where creative team left a book because they wouldn't let the editorial wouldn't let the characters get married. The news media made a kind of bigger deal of it, going like they're objecting to gay marriage because the character in question was Batwoman, who is a lesbian character, and she was in a relationship with a woman for a while since the beginning of this book. And you know, the writers, who are the writers on the book?
J.H. Williams.
J.H. Williams was heading toward what he assumed eventually would be like to, you know, have these two cats get married. But DC, as they relaunched all their titles in the New 52, they're figuring out everything they're doing that makes them different from the old version and little tweaks and things they want to do. One of the mandates, I guess, which makes a lot of sense creatively, is don't let the characters get married. Not those characters, not Batwoman and her girlfriend, but none of the characters across the boards. And here's why. I was collecting comics when Superman finally told Lois, I am Clark Kent. And then they fell in love and they got married. And then all of a sudden, Superman and Lois are flat out fucking married from now until the end of, or until you reboot the fucking universe and stuff.
You're forgetting about divorce.
which is impossible for fucking
lost
Superman.
my house of solitude. She took it.
So they've decided, like, look, you know, in a world where now every one of these characters is a potential movie. There's no two ways about it. In a world where Green Arrow is a television show, every one of these DC characters, or as you know, the lawyers call them, licenses, could be something. So they don't want to marry the characters because they're like, well, who the fuck cares about married superheroes, blah, blah, blah. Or it's just easier to have them free. It absolutely makes sense. The only problem was when the story broke, what happened was the writer was like, look, I want to do this one story. They want to do it a different way. No harm, no foul. I'm going to take off from the book. I'm sure he was a little pissed or ass hurt, but he wasn't like, I'm going to bring this fucking company down. He was just like, look, I get it. They want to do this. I want to do this. No harm, no foul. They separated. But the media caught it and they turned it into not just DC doesn't want any of their characters to get married. They turned it political and people started writing DC doesn't want gay marriage in their books, which is a completely different discussion and argument, and not what was said from. I wasn't there, so I don't know. But everything I've read,
mentality, why would they allow a character to be gay to begin with?
Like Alan Scott, they let Alan Scott, the Green Lantern, be gay in the New 52. So it's not clearly they're not homophobic.
No, it wasn't that DC was against gay marriage, and they're definitely not.
You guys are the fucking goods, man. You are the legends of the moment right now. You're building your fucking legends. You're 2 years into it. Think about it. They'll be talking about your run in hushed terms, the way that people talk, the way we talked about year one.
From your lips to
it's true.
If anything else exists here.
You've been fucking in this business 25 years. You know what I'm talking about. With distance, man, like you never see it when you're doing it because you're like, oh, we're in the midst of it. We're doing a year of 0 year at this point. But, you know, a little distance between you and it a couple of years from now, you guys will see like your fucking pantheon book with those very books that you're sitting there talking about so reverently. So mission accomplished. And you're also adorable. You're like the Linus and Charlie Brown of the comics, sitting in your pumpkin patch.
I'm not even going to ask who's who.
I'll let you pick.
I'm in the sidecar and you ride the heart.
You've heard them here singly, and now you heard them double team, man. Go out and get their work. Right now they're in the midst of 0 year. What issue is coming? 4 is coming out?
24 is coming out in October. Yeah,
so you got
eight more issues to go, fully?
I'm working on 25. I've got a few pages left, and then 6 more issues after that. Yeah,
there it is. You got almost a full year left to dive into the story, man. I can't thank you guys enough for coming back on, for coming down, doing Comic Book Men today, and sitting around doing podcasts. Most people don't realize we sat around talking for a good part of the day. And then when everyone was done with work, we came over here and talked some fucking more. So thank you for fucking chatting about the Bat, man. Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo, you guys are the fucking goods. Keep doing what you're doing. And we'll
Thanks,
see you
Kevin.
back in the Fat Cave very, very soon, of course. Everybody loved when you guys were both on singly. I can't imagine they're not going to love this one as much. So there'll be a drive.
Awesome.
We'll get you guys after you're done, at least. I mean, maybe before that, but at the very least, when you guys are all done with 0 Year and get your thoughts and
cool.
look back.
Sure.
Great job, man. Thanks for coming down. There it is, folks. That's going to be it for Fat Man on Batman this week. Join us next week here in the Fat Cave. We talk to some other cats who've made Batman the center of their lives. Well, the center of that aspect of their life where they pay attention to shit that ain't real. I'm sure they got families and shit like that, but center of their heart and soul, if you will. Until then, come on back, man. Same fat time, same fat channel, smodcast.com.
This has been a production of Smodco Internet Radio. Sir, only at smodcast.com.